Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you may be. Welcome to a Joy of SharePoint webinar. My name is Joy Apple, and I am here today to talk with you about building modern intranet solutions. We're going to be focusing on SharePoint and Teams because they're the dream team when it comes to building out our intelligent intranets. I am so glad you are here. If you've never joined a Joy of SharePoint or a Pate Group webinar before, just to introduce myself, I am Joy Apple. I'm a modern workplace strategist at Pate Group. I'm also a newly awarded Microsoft MVP, which is super amazing. Thrilled to be part of that group of amazing folks. I've been working with Pate Group for about 4 years now, but I've had the pleasure of working with Microsoft products and technologies for over 12 years. And it's really been an amazing journey to watch where the product has come inside of SharePoint and then evolved into this whole Microsoft 365 ecosystem. And I get to help people get from older versions of SharePoint and old legacy systems into this new, modern, and exciting workspace. I'm glad you're here, and I hope I'm able to help kind of shed some light on building out a modern intranet. So first off, we're going to dive right in. Let's talk a little about what we have, what we work with day in and day out. This is a very simplified list, and it covers a lot of things. If you have questions as we go through, or if there's something you'd like me to dive in a little more deeply, don't be shy to pop it in chat, and Stacy will let me know as we go through the webinar. What we have every day, day in and day out, is going to be company public data, instructions, published policies and procedures, request forms, safety information, and that's just to name a few. I'm sure we also have published reports and budgets and spreadsheets, all kinds of things. On the company public side, that's kind of the phrase I like to use when we're talking about content that everyone in the organization has permission to see. They can get to it and they can consume it, not necessarily edit it, but read it and use that information. On the flip side of that, we're going to have our department private. It may be for your whole department, all of HR. It may be for a work group inside of HR, like benefits, wellness, payroll. Our departments typically are going to break down into smaller groups. And then it could be a cross-functional team. Maybe we've got accounting and payroll that work together, but they've got things, our stuff, that not everyone in the organization should see, definitely should not be able to modify. Could be employee data, departmental SOPs, drafts of policies and procedures. Those request forms that people got to out on the company public side, once they've been filled out and submitted, probably need somewhere private to go. Tasks, lists, checklists, all that stuff can live on the department private side of the world. And we're just thinking about our stuff, we could also break it down by things we need. We need security. We need to make sure that the right stuff is sitting on that company public side. And then again, the right stuff is sitting on that department or group or team private side. We need streamlined avenues of communication. I can't see you, but raise your hand if you're so tired of everything just being one long email thread in Outlook. I hate digging through Outlook to find content. We need digital forms. We need to get the paper off our desk. I'm guilty of that. I still jot down things on paper. But we need to get the paper off our desk and put it online. So if I need it, it's there. I can't walk out and forget it if it's in my OneDrive, because my OneDrive goes with me everywhere I go. We need a way to do reviews. We need approvals. So we have our stuff and we have things we need that surround that stuff, functionality, right? Processes. Ideally, in the world we want to move towards, where all of those things come together, is going to be our intranet. That becomes our entry point to our stuff and the things we do with our stuff. And I know I overuse that word a lot, stuff. Fun fact, that's actually a Shakespearean word. So it's proper English. It's not too informal. but I think it covers the gist. We have a lot of things: contents, pictures, images, contracts, spreadsheets, PDFs. The list goes on and on. We have our content, and then we have things we need to be able to do with it. And if we set up SharePoint and Teams side by side, we're able to tackle both the company public content and the department private content and all of the things we need to do with it in those two places. And what's super cool is as we get our intranet fleshed out, we can start more and more just to really centralize around working in teams and be able to get to our SharePoint content very easily right from that place. But once we hit our entry point, I'll be honest, even though I am Joy of SharePoint, I live in Teams. I get to all my SharePoint stuff from there. So we start, and then we have our files and our content. It could be Office Suite, it could be PDFs. We can have ways from SharePoint or Teams, either one, to get to our OneDrive stuff. There's that word again. So from SharePoint and Teams, we can get to our files and content. But we can also use those as entry points to get to those other Microsoft 365 applications. Do we need to track tasks together with our team? Planner. And I can look at, I can work with my planner tasks from SharePoint or Teams. Either way, no matter where you are, there it is. Forms. So when we have content that we need to get from people, we can set up forms to get that. We can place it on SharePoint site pages. We can put links to forms in navigation. We can have tabs to forms inside of Teams. So again, we use SharePoint and Teams as that stepping stone to get to where we go. Third-party applications. YouTube, do you have training content inside of your corporate YouTube? You can embed a YouTube video right there on your SharePoint page. Though I'd go to Stream, right? You're already paying for it with your license. Use the tool. DocuSign, digital signatures, if you use Wrike, all kinds of third-party applications have connectors already available inside of Teams. I encourage you to explore that. If you happen to be on the non-IT side of the desk, reach out to IT. Let them know those approved third-party applications that you work with and see if there's not a way to partner together to leverage that right inside of SharePoint and Teams. But wait, there's more. We can also create links in SharePoint or tabs in Teams to get to other SharePoint sites or sites that you use every day out on the Intranet. I've got a client right now. We're working together to make sure that HR can get to John Hancock, Paycom, Concur, all right from inside of Teams. So we really, truly can turn that into your hub to be able to get to just about any resource you need. Okay, semi-quick recap. We got stuff, we got things we need to do with stuff. And we know we're going to try to get to all of that from either SharePoint or Teams. But let's explode out a little bit. Let's actually talk about architecture at a super, and I mean super high level, 10,000 feet. All right. So we're used to, if we're coming from maybe the old classic world of SharePoint, we might be used to thinking about architecture in a very funneled type way. We may have the corporate homepage, which we know is really a site, be the top level site in our site collection, and then contract management is a subsite, and then a sister site to that might be finance and accounting, and then another subsite, human resources, and another subsite, I should say. Those are all going to inherit the navigation from that corporate home page, that top level site. When we explode that out a little bit more, we see we actually have 3 levels at this kind of simple way of looking at it of sites. The corporate home would be the parent site, and then each department has a child site. And that would be considered that company public area, or if I need some information from contract management, I navigate right to it and I see everything contract management has available for me. I exploded out the IT piece. So IT subsite to the corporate home. and then a child site. So the application support team breaks permissions from IT, and then they have their own site, subsite, team site. Same for the exchange group, same for the help desk. So this actually is representing 3 layers deep of sites. Cool thing about that is we just set up the navigation one time at this top level, use links to get anywhere we need to go, share FAQs, have content on the pages, news and announcements, and then folks just break off to wherever they need to go. All the while the navigation is being inherited down and down and down and down. Maybe we blew that out to the side a little bit. Maybe what we did is we had the corporate homepage be a site collection, and then we let contract management be its own site collection. Finance and accounting was its own site collection. And at this point in this diagram, we're only going 2 levels deep. So we've got several site collections that are all siblings. And inside of this site collection, then we have 1 level of subsites in a perfect world. If you've been in this world before, you know more than likely you had other subsites that kind of built on out. But I would have IT be the parent, and then 1 level deep of the child sites for each of these teams. Again, right about here, permission broke. So permissions always worked like a funnel in this situation. The more permissive a site was, the higher up, and then permissions would restrict as we went down further and further. If you've ever had the pleasure of managing that with your business departments, you know, it could get complicated really, really fast. Probably have a bottle of Excedrin sitting on your desk for just these situations. Pros. The main pro, especially if you were just doing that one big site collection, was you set your navigation at the top, and until someone made a special request, you didn't really have to do much. That's it. That's about the only pro that really comes with nesting your sites within one site collection. A big con, if you were doing that all together, was all of your stuff went into one content database. So if Joy jacked up the spreadsheet and accounting says, hey, IT, we need you to do a restore of this document library because Joy messed up that spreadsheet, that means that entire content database with that whole site collection that had everybody in it would have to be restored. Probably not going to happen for one spreadsheet. If it did, wow, that was an important spreadsheet, and it was going to take a long time, right? That's a lot of content. Now, if we did it on the separate site collections, that part was a little easier. We still have a lot of broken permissions. There's no clear view either way you go of really what you're working with inside of Central Admin. Again, broken permissions, I can't say that enough. Navigation, I'm gonna be honest, we were still having to do some one-off modifications here and there, and don't even think about reorging unless you're paying money for a third-party tool that lets you pick up subsites, break them out, and promote them and move them around. Reorgs and moving stuff was a nightmare. But I have good news for you. If you're currently living in that world and you're wondering and you're thinking, okay, we're in SharePoint Online now, can this be better? Yes, yes, it can. Because modern SharePoint calls for modern architecture, and we're gonna unnest our sites. And yes, I'm talking a lot about SharePoint right now, but hold on, there's more to come. So modern architecture, everything breaks out and becomes its own top-level site, or what we might call its own site collection. And when I first read that announcement from Microsoft, I kind of kicked back in my chair and thought, wow, that's a lot of sites. That's a lot of sites that I'm not going to have that URL that's mapping out site, subsite, sub-subsite, sub-subsite. You know, my mapping, it's going to be weird. Feels like they're kind of just floating around. Dust in the wind comes to mind. But I promise you, it is not like that, because the tenant is our boundary, right? It's all right there. It's all at awesomecompany.sharepoint.com/site/human resources/ manufacturing / project management, right? It's still all contained. And what's beautiful about this, admins, I'm talking to you. When you go to the SharePoint Admin Center now, you see it all. You see every site collection. And they've given us the ability to create custom views and to use metadata inside that list of site collections, so you can slice it and dice it, see your communication sites, see your team sites, what has a group, what doesn't. It's beautiful. And it's fun, because now that we've done that, now that we've unnested those sites, they're Legos. Who doesn't love Legos, right? It's modular. If I've got a manufacturing facility that is going to grow up and go be part of engineering now, awesome. It's not built into any set structure. I use hub sites, more on that in a minute, to associate things. If I decide I don't like that association, I just pop that block off, either just let it be its own thing or pop it to another site. Gone are the days of living in fear of a reorg. Doesn't matter, because your structure isn't dependent on the sites around it. There's nothing above it or below it. It just is. Gone are the days, hallelujah, of tangled up knots of permissions between site, subsite, sub-subsite, sub-sub-sub-sub-site. Life gets a lot cleaner when we move into that flat architecture. So every site, and this is extremely simplistic, I understand that, but every site is a site collection. And you know, when you look in your URL in SharePoint and you see /sites/, that's your security boundary. Every time you go to a new site, you have clean permissions. You can do with them however you need. You can bring people in, you can kick people out, but that site is your security boundary. Now you might be thinking, team sites everywhere. It feels like that at first. It really does, because if I'm going to migrate a classic SharePoint structure into SharePoint Online and I want to do it the modern way, then those nested child sites, they get broken out and elevated. This is the perfect time to do cleanup on those in-between subsites. Maybe there's a little bit of content there, but it's not been touched in 3 years. Archive it. Burn it onto a DVD and give it to that department as a Christmas gift. Here you go, do with it what you want, right? Clean it up. Break down those structures that really weren't very useful in a lot of situations. Clean up those permissions. You probably will have to do some work to make sure the permissions on those newly promoted subsites are set up the way they need to be. It's probably not as bad as 50-50, but we've seen a lot of situations where when we bring those subsites over, we promote them, they're coming into brand new site collections, modern experience, the permissions weren't really right in the first place because maybe the owner broke permissions but never really set it up appropriately. This is the perfect time to start fresh with a security audit and just keep on rolling from there. It's work, but boy, it feels so good when you get that done. And don't panic. Bonus points to anyone that can tell us in chat where this image and this phrase came from. Don't panic. It sounds a little overwhelming. It sounds like we're going to get flooded with all of these site collections, but before we were basically on the Titanic. We could see the tip of the iceberg, but we had no idea what was really under all of those site collections. Nothing's hiding from us now. We have that true representation. We have fewer issues. I once spent 6 weeks elevating content from deep folder paths and URL structures because it had broken the 256 URL character limit. Search couldn't find it. Backups and restores wouldn't work on it. You're getting rid of that whole mess. Microsoft back in, I'm going to say late April. I could be a little off on that. But they raised the tenant site collection level to 2 million. Site collection limit limit to 2 million. So you're fine. If you're bumping up against 2 million, come talk to me. Maybe we can help. And then we get hub sites to bring all that together in navigation. So we don't feel like we're having to play hopscotch to come and go to all of our content. Hub sites. I love hub sites. I'm really excited for the features that are coming out to help make hub site management better. So a hub site takes the place of what we used to consider that parent site or that top level site in a site collection. A hub site lets us join related sites to it. So I might have a manufacturing site. All of the common resources that my manufacturing departments or my teams need live on that hub site. It's open to everyone in manufacturing, maybe everyone in the organization. It lives there. And maybe I have 3 or 4 manufacturing sites, other sites. I join them to that. They can roll up content. They can roll up news, events, shared resources. We just link to it and we get consistent navigation throughout. Sites aren't nested. They're associated. Potato, potato, but structurally, there's not a hard and fast connection there. So a hub site, it's not a type of site, it's a feature that we activate on either a communication site or a team site. And I feel the need for a demo. Just a little quick one. We can only live inside of slides for so long, right? I told Stacy when we were getting ready, it's like, I'm really not going to demo. Stacy, I lied. All right. So this is my demo tenant that I play with off and on. So I'm on this manufacturing hub. I know that because it says manufacturing. And I've got this navigation across the top. All right. This is my hub site. In the olden days, we would have called this the top level site, right? I share news. I could have events. I don't think I've really built out much on here. Oh, here's a project list. That's awesome. But if I'm clicking across the top and I want to go to my South Africa manufacturing site, click it. And I'm on the South Africa manufacturing site. The theme stays the same. We all get our own little fun colors for the site icon. My navigation is consistent. It's fantastic. I'm going to create a news post. Show you something fun. This was not in the slides at all, but I want to show you. That shouldn't be capitalized. If you've never seen the modern news stuff, oh, it's fantastic. Stock images, these are legal. This is so users don't go steal stuff off of Google or Bing Images or something, right? Fantastic. Microsoft does all the work for us. Ooh, that looks fun. I'm just going to grab this image. Demo of shared news. This will eventually roll up to the manufacturing home. Woohoo! That's all I'm going to do because I'm lazy. All right, I'm going to post this news to the South Africa manufacturing site. There it is. Isn't it lovely? All right, let me go to my manufacturing hub site. Now, depending on how this news web part is configured, I may or may not see it. Let me do a quick edit, make sure I've got it configured to pull from that site. This is how easy Modern SharePoint is, folks. I'm going to edit this news web part. It's going to think about it. Yay, live demo. Really, come on, SharePoint. It's fine. This is what I get for doing an unscheduled demo. Reload. Yeah, sure. Okay. The websites are broken. Here we go. See, what it is I said the E word. I said it would be easy. Okay, so for this news web part, I could say just this site, all sites in the hub. What? There it is. Or I could just pick and choose. Let's be honest. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to pick on any of these because these are all places I've been this year. But maybe NACS isn't the most exciting when it comes to news. It was awesome, actually. But I could choose not to show stuff from that site if I didn't want to see it. That's what that lets you do. And I've got options on how it lays out. It's so fun. Can you imagine doing this in SharePoint 2007? Nope. So this becomes the roll-up for as much or as little content as I want to roll up from these other sites in the organization. Fantastic. And I can see where it came from, right? This came from the site we're on. This came from the South Africa manufacturing site. It's fantastic. My search, my hub keeps me scoped inside of the hub sites, everything that's joined to manufacturing. So when I looked for the word demo, I'm getting content from South Africa, from the manufacturing site, La Jolla, anything in any of these sites that I have permission to. Permissions will still trim and search, will come here from within the hub site and the join sites. Pretty cool. All right, back to slides. So I could have hubified a team site if I wanted to. You can hubify a communication site. It's a feature, not really a site type. And we're not really talking about creating hubs out of every possible combination of sites out there. That would be extreme, because here I'm saying I've got a hub site that's giving me consistent navigation between my IT communication site that everyone in the organization is coming to and the IT team site that only IT is getting to. Why would I need consistent navigation when most of the people don't ever need to see those IT team links, right? What's going to be the shared resource on this hub site that both the communication site is going to have and the team site people are going to need to have, right? We've already said it's two different audiences. So if I do this, this is probably going to be empty. It's not really accomplishing anything. So we're not trying to hubify every conceivable grouping. What we're trying to do is look at the sites in our organization that are related but wide in architecture. Projects. I can tell you at Pay Group right now, 35 to 40 ongoing projects right now. It's a lot of projects. It's a lot. So I can have a hub site where every one of those project sites that I have permissions on, those resources can roll up. I can see the events, I can see timelines, I can see documents that have been edited recently. And then I have that consistent navigation to go to all the sites I need to. So they're related in focus, in scope, and in purpose. But the architecture feels really wide, right? I got a lot of sites. I need one place to kind of bring them together.
Hey, Joy, we have a question.
Sure.
Okay. By the way, hi, Matthew. How's it going? How long does it take for the South Africa manufacturing to show up in the top navigation after you've added it to a hub site?
Oh, you would pick on my pet peeve. So it will take as long as it takes you to go edit that hub navigation and put it up there. Because, and I don't understand why when I hubify a site and say, hey, South Africa, I want you to be joined to manufacturing, it doesn't auto add. You actually get to, right? You get to go put that link up here. You can only edit the hub navigation from the hub site, for example. When I'm on an associated or join site, right, I don't see that edit button over here. So literally, you grab the URL, you go to your hub, you edit, and you add it. And I've tested that too. I thought, surely it will. So I went and I joined a site to a hub and I walked away. 5 minutes pass and I refresh. 20 minutes pass and I refresh twice. Nope, you get to go do that yourself. I have no idea if that's something that might come down the road, or if Microsoft is of the opinion, just do it yourself, because as soon as we changed it to auto add, you won't like it and you'd wish we'd stop. So yeah, I wish. I will say this too, sometimes, let me cancel this. Oh, before I go on, see how you see the little people head here? I can have audience targeting turned on. So if I don't want everyone to see a particular link, I can turn on audience targeting and put in the M365 group that should see it. Nobody else will. Magic. It can take a few minutes once you join a site. One of the things that happens is the theme, so for here it would be the gray, pushes down to the join site, so there's consistency. That can take a few minutes. If you have that site opened in other tabs, it will mess with your brain. So you want to make sure you close it, maybe give it 5-10 minutes, and then go back and you'll see that theme apply. All right. Registering hub sites, we do that in the admin center. It's super easy. You literally go find the site, then go up to the toolbar up top and say register as hub site. It takes maybe 30 seconds. Now, as soon as I say that, you're going to go do it. It's going to take 60, but it really doesn't take much time. And you can put in there the names of the other users who have permission to register sites with your hub. So if you don't want just anyone, right? Here I just said that Bob user is the only person that can come in and associate other sites with manufacturing. Governance. Governance is good. Just like you can register a site, you can also manage your existing hub sites. Here's a little glimpse of that admin portal. Here's my manufacturing site. And it looks like that was before it got hubified. Here's my project site. See, it shows that that is the hub. So when you're in the admin center, you can see exactly what is what. This project Schulke, I know that it's associated with the projects hub because it tells me right there. If Project Schulke wraps up, we're done with it, we've archived everything we need, it's literally a matter of selecting it and removing it from the hub that it's associated with. Really simple. And if projects, we're tired of it being a hub at all, we can just unregister it as a hub. Nothing gets deleted, nothing breaks, the roll-ups will change. That's it. It's pretty safe. And it's fun because it's Legos. It's impossible to architect ourselves into a corner. We build out the structure exactly as we need it, and it's very lightweight to change. But wait, there is more. Because we also have teams to loop into our intelligent intranet. So we've got our SharePoint goodness, a lot of the features and the functionality that have been with us since the beginning of SharePoint, right? They've evolved and they've grown and they've gotten more powerful. But one thing SharePoint's never really been super good at is helping us communicate better. It's helped us manage our documentation. And we had that newsfeed web part for a little while. Some people loved it and used it all the time. Some people hated it. I think they changed it to a site feed. Was it the site feed? But now with Teams, they're better together because Teams is for team work and our team sites in SharePoint are for collaboration. So if we take our company public content and we put that on our SharePoint communication sites, well, now we've got our SharePoint team sites where we collaborate like we have been doing since the beginning of SharePoint. Our traditional team sites, we use them for that department, group, project, private stuff, right? Every department had a site and maybe a few others where we could break out into our distinct working groups. Our team sites have traditionally been kind of that more secured area And we have very site-specific work streams that happen within our small groups. That being the case, it absolutely makes sense then that if we're going to bring teams into our work stream and into our day-to-day processes, that we would marry that to our team sites. Because now, not only am I working with you on document revisions and versioning and updating policies and procedures, or getting contracts out the door, now we can communicate on that in a very clean way inside of Teams, just enhance that collaborative process. Teams is going to promote our teamwork day in and day out. And these are just a few of the ways. And these are the ways that have kind of resonated the most with me in the almost 4 years we've been using Teams at Pate Group. Messages in our channels inside of our distinctive teams, they involve everyone that's working in that department or in that business unit or functional area. When I communicate in email, I am choosing a finite number of people. And I'll be honest, I don't always remember everyone that I'm supposed to be putting on the to line or the carbon copy. So I'll send that message out that's got important information from Outlook. 9 times out of 10, maybe it's not that bad, but it feels like it. I'll think, oh shoot, I forgot to put Stacy on that email thread. So I'll go dig it out of my sent items, forward it to Stacy and go, hey, looping you in. Well, now she's over here on this side talking with me. And I'm getting emails on the other side from everyone else that was on the thread. Everyone's not seeing all of that. But if I take that exact same communication and I put it in the appropriate channel in Teams, everyone in the team sees it and can respond to it as is appropriate. And let's be real. How often are we just dying to tag on one more message into an already 8 email deep thread? Probably not, right? Probably not. But Teams actually encourages us to share that opinion, that thought, that feedback, because we're having a live conversation, not having this, I don't know, serial email thread going on. It's fantastic. People are more likely to respond and to be part of that conversation. Content inside of Teams is searchable. Nah, it's okay. Control F has come along recently and that has helped tremendously, but Microsoft Search is coming to Teams. That's going to be a game changer. It's going to be a game changer. I'll confess, right now you got to work a little. If you truly don't know who said what and you're trying to find something based on a keyword in Teams, it's about to get a whole lot better. When I go into my team and I've got my channels, all I have to do is look at the Files tab to see my content. I don't have to go through my Outlook and find that little bitty paperclip that maybe is where that one document was. And while we're talking about teams and channels and all that good stuff, let's just look at one. So here's my HR team. Every team gets a general channel. It's where we talk about the generic stuff for our team. Here, it's a demo, right? I created a channel where my Alabama people can talk about their Alabama HR stuff. There's one for Ohio. You know, all of HR needs to be part of policy reviews, right? So all of, this isn't broken down by specific areas. But the way our channels work, if you're a member of the HR team, you're a member of a standard channel, right? Because this is for all of HR. If Alabama needs to have a private team where Ohio's not poking their nose in to see what's going on in Alabama, we go create an Alabama HR team and we give them their private space to work on. They're going to get their own SharePoint team site and they're going to be able to work on their stuff with the appropriate security around it. Every time we create a channel and a team, we're creating a folder, like it or not, a folder inside of our documents library for that SharePoint site, because SharePoint is the document management tool for Microsoft 365. Teams is the let's talk about it and let's get to it easy tool inside of Microsoft 365. We can, doesn't mean we should, it's an opinion, we can create private channels inside of our teams so that only specific people can see what's in that private channel, such as right here, I see the little padlock. Let's talk about that. Okay, make it comfy. This is a deep topic. How we doing? We're doing good. When I create a private channel inside of Teams, that is creating a whole other site. When we create a private channel in Teams, I'm saying it again, we're creating a whole other site in SharePoint because the permissions best practice is to secure the largest object possible, to keep from having those nitty-gritty, tangled up knots of permissions. Okay, but that means if I'm in Teams, let me get my taskbar up, Teams, 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 and I click on my files here, or if I decide to go open in SharePoint, right here I'm opening the policy review folder inside of the HR team library. If I had a private channel, I wouldn't be opening a folder in a library. I'd be opening up that folder in a whole other site, right? So our architecture is expanded. Right now today, those sites that are created with our private channels are not listed in the SharePoint Admin Center. And that's one reason I kind of shy away from them. And full disclosure, this was true as of the North American Collaboration Summit about almost 4 weeks ago. Not saying that couldn't have changed in that short period of time. So we really want to think about security need versus security want, because we're expanding our architecture. And what I'm doing too is I'm saying, okay, teams, I need a place where content can go that not everyone on the team can see it. It's just going to be a separate SharePoint site. But I'm not getting a whole new group of people. I'm just kicking out the folks I don't want here. So if Excelsior PM, this is the project manager, and like the president of the company, they can come in here and see stuff that people like me don't need to see on a project. If they need a distinct task list, a planner plan to be able to track tasks, they can't use this one that the whole group is in, right? Because I'm breaking things apart. I'm just given a cubby hole. Got a slide here. This is a work in progress. I refine it a little bit about every time I display it. If you're trying to decide if you need a private channel or not, because again, we're impacting permissions, security, and architecture, ask yourself a couple of questions. Are all of the people that I'm thinking about that I want to put in this private channel, are they already part of this one bigger team, or is it a separate group of people? If they're already part of that bigger team, is it a breach of security? Is it a breach of security if everyone else on this team sees the content? If you're like, well, yeah, everybody's on the same team. Well, it's not a breach of security if they see it. It's just that everyone doesn't need to see it. And I'm just afraid it's going to be a lot of channels and a lot of noise and notifications. Okay, so you don't need a private channel if it's not a breach of security. What you need to do is help people figure out how to set up their notifications and how to show or hide the channels they need to see. Those two things reduces a ton of clutter and noise inside of Teams. Okay, check. Standard channel. All right. Are these people you're thinking about, are they already part of this larger team? No. I've got some people outside of my team that I need to bring in to see this stuff. We're done. You're going to have to do a separate team because your private channel is based off the permissions, or I should say the membership of the team that already exists. You can't bring in extra people and just put them in your private channel. So in this case, you're really talking about a cross-functional team. But Joy, now I'm creating a new SharePoint site. You are, but remember, we would have been doing that with a private channel anyway. And this new site's going to be discoverable in the admin center. We're good. I promise we're good. Here's the fuzzy one. Yeah, sorta. I mean, yeah, they're already part of this one team. We're wanting to put the private channel, but it's really not cool if everyone on the team sees the content. The content is about the work the team does, but it's only for the eyes of certain people. You just hit the lottery, right? That's the winning combination to have that secured cubbyhole inside of your team. It's a lot of words just about one private channel, right? But it really is worth sitting down and parsing through security, the audience, the purpose, and the true needs behind it. How we doing? Any questions on the private channel thing? That's an excuse for me to get a drink of tea. Okie dokie. Another part of the magic of Teams is the ability to use those tabs to put important information and resources right at your fingertips. So here, when I create a team, every channel is going to get posts, files, and wiki. For this deployment planning channel in my project Excelsior team, I put a tab to the project plan, right? So I could be working. If I need to take a look at that project plan, I don't have to close Teams and go somewhere else. I just click on the button. If I had a spreadsheet that was super important, we all have to be in and out of it every day, and it's a resource that me and the team we use all the time. You know what? You can use this Excel button and put a tab right here across the top. So you don't even have to go into files to find it. It can just be right there at the top. Awesome. Tabs in Teams are the equivalent of links in SharePoint. It's your easy button to be able to get to the content or the resources that you need. See these more tabs? Those are third-party tools. And so if it's appropriate and IT supports those third-party integrations, you've got a license for it or username and password, put those tabs right across the top of whatever channel makes sense, and business just keeps on going. Lost my mouse. If you've been in SharePoint Online for a while, pre-Teams, and you already have that team site, you can absolutely go teamify it, right? All you have to do from inside of Teams, you go to create a team, and it's going to ask you, are we creating it from scratch, from an existing group or team? And there are templates now, which are really awesome. I encourage you, if you have permission and access in your environment to create teams, you can go play with these templates. Like the project manage one, it's pretty cool. If you're really working kind of old school site and you don't have a Microsoft 365 group associated with your site, first you'll have to groupify it. Then you can teamify it. You got to have that M365 group first. All right, woo, we're getting there. You're hanging in. We're doing awesome. This is slide number 34, 36. We're almost there. Breaking down this architecture. SharePoint, communication sites. Typically, not to have to be all the time, but typically those are organization-wide. A small group of people broadcasts content out to a larger group of people. There is no M365 group associated with a SharePoint communication site, which means they cannot be teamified. They can be hubified if they need to. If you're using Yammer for big, large-scale organizational communication, the new Yammer web part is awesome. You can just throw it right there on the page. Team sites, department site, our team site, our group site, our project site. That's where we come together in our functional areas and get stuff done. Document management, versioning, approvals, all that good stuff. Ties right into Teams beautifully. So not only are we doing stuff together, but we can talk about it as we do it. Back in March and April, Richard and I did a series of Teams webinars, little shorts. Some of them are short, some of them are not. Some of them took some time to get through. But there's several different topics that we did all about working on SharePoint content inside of Teams. So if you've not really seen that, I encourage you to go check it out. If you want an easy button or an easy link to it, I'll have my contact information at the end. I'll be happy to send you those links. Teams gets us that place to access the documentation we work on every day. Talk about it, discuss and conversate, right? It's where we come together and get the work done, and our tabs give us the links to get to everything we need to. When I help our clients build out their intranet, they always get one of these. I use Xmind. I always get asked what I use. I use Xmind to do this, and I like the colors. So let me get my magnifying glass. All right. So communication site for that home page, right? We're going to have corporate news, links to department pages, or maybe even department communication sites. Just depends on how you want to scale that architecture. Links to self-service content. Maybe they need to be able to submit an incident report. Or do you want to go on vacation? Here's your PTO calendar. Submit a request. Human resources is up next. They get a communication site, company public. They can share all of the information that we all need to see as employees. Right? This is where that PTO calendar really lives. They just submitted the request from the homepage. They can see their employee forms. Are you a new hire? Do you need a W-9? Do you need to change your direct deposit? Right? Department private. Let's be real. Human resources is going to need more than one team site. It's probably going to be one for benefits, one for wellness, one for payroll, one for the folks that manage like maybe disability claims, however that may break out. A team site for each of those functional areas with the content they work on. Married to Teams, where they can talk, get to their content easily, jump in meetings, all of it right at their fingertips. Let me see. Oh, I'm going to do my magnifying glass again and point this out. So for this group, we talked about having that team site and Teams. Well, this particular client was going to have some retail locations, and they wanted to set up a hub, SharePoint hub. So every store would have access to that hub site and then could break out and have a retail site for their own independent content. So we were just beginning to flesh that out when I kind of use that as the basis for this. So there's lots of different ways you can come in and set up your sites and your teams to meet your need. Remember, if you think about your audience, that will help identify your permissions, and then you just set those sites up accordingly. It's the fun stuff. It really is like playing with Legos. I'm blessed to get to be able to do it just about every day. All right, you have hung in there with me till the end. Thank you so much.
We have a couple of questions if you have like.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Our team. Do you know if officially Teams templates have been rolled out to everyone? I don't think that they have.
We can find out.
Mm-hmm.
Do I still have it open? I'll show you something magic here. I go to this roadmap almost every day. Almost every day.
Really don't think that they officially have. I think that they're I think it's in process.
I think we'll confirm or deny here in just a minute. But I think they're currently rolling out. Because we have them. Oops, too far. Let's see if we can get templates and oh, look at that. See, I do know what I'm talking about. They are rolling out standard to general availability. If you're not seeing them yet, it is still October. Sit tight. Should be coming to you pretty darn soon.
All right, we have a couple more questions. Okay.
Sure.
Since team channels use the shared document library in SharePoint, do you also create extra document libraries to help break this up?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for asking this question. Okay. Ooh, I'm not passionate about this at all. All right. So if I'm here inside of my channel, right? So Ohio, apparently, we're in the HR department for Ohio. This files tab should be the stuff where we're working on it a lot, right? In fact, all of these, when you're talking about your files tab in Teams, this is what you are just doing your fast and furious collaboration on. You want to be able to open up a document. Do I have anything in here? Yeah. You want to be able to open it up, maybe work on it here. Let's be real, if it's Excel, we're going to open it in the desktop app, right? But we can have conversations about it, and it's threaded to the document. I mean, we are getting it knocked out. Yeah. But if I need to occasionally go back and look at the previously published reports, I'm probably not going to be doing fast and furious collaboration on that, right? So if it's just for reference, or if it's just for looking at stuff, I would recommend making that a library in SharePoint and then tabbing to it up here, or wherever it makes sense to tab to it. Because we don't want that reference stuff cluttering up our active collaboration. And we don't want our active collaboration to be all intermingled with reference documents, published information, or things that really shouldn't be edited. So I would absolutely create additional document libraries on your SharePoint site, because that's what it's there for. And nope, wrong button. I do that every time. And then just grab the link to it. Like, what have I got here? Procedures. So I could grab the link to procedures and tab to that inside of Teams. Actually, I didn't have to go get the link. Can you tell I'm used to doing it the old way? Let's see, SharePoint. No, I clicked the wrong SharePoint button. Come on, girl, get it together. Oh, they've changed it a little bit. SharePoint pages. Oh, no, they haven't. I just can't read. Yes. Here we go. Pick my site. Oh, let's look at that too. This is showing me all the sites in the tenant that I have permission to. So it doesn't have to be in the same site either. If it makes sense and everyone has access to this stuff, you can tab to whatever you need to. Here's my procedures. Next. It's not smart enough to name it for you. If it is, it's just too lazy. And I'm on my little bitty laptop monitor, so you notice it does start to condense things, so you might want to think about that. But now I've got my reference content, the things that aren't going to change, and I'm not cluttering them up with the stuff I'm working on. I hope that helps.
All right, I think we have time for one last one.
For sure.
Okay, how do you set it up to make it easy for users to move files from a Teams document library to the longer term location?
SharePoint does it for you. So let's pretend. I'm going to go documents. Remember, every channel in Teams is a folder in documents. Here's general. And let's pretend that this in the fake document, we're done. No more working on these. We want to publish these out maybe to the HR communication site. Aha, here's this move button. If you don't see it here, oh, there it is, HR communication site. As many document libraries as I have created will show up here. I just have these two. Let's put them in documents. There are no other folders in here, so I'm just going to move them right in. Smaller, so this is telling me that basically the versioning doesn't match up. And if you don't have the exact same columns here as the place you're moving, it's going to warn you that you may lose some metadata. So of course, we always want to plan and think ahead and don't just click buttons like crazy people like I do. Okay, telling it both times, move anyway. If I had selected 4 documents, it would have warned me 4 times. All right, and it's moving them. Done and done. And it gives me an easy button there to go make sure it really happened. So there's my comm plan. And looks like I already had fake doc in here. So just picks them up and moves them right over for you. You could copy too. If you want to be paranoid, copy, and then you could go delete. I mean, you've got some options. You've got options there. Any other questions?
I think one more.
Yeah.
And then I swear I
You
promise.
know me, I'd go for hours if we could.
I know we could. Can files in Teams have subfolders? And I know this is a topic. Yep, I'm waiting for it. And Susan, thank you so much. It's wonderful. She said that this has been an excellent webinar. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. So, okay, you can. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So you could even create one right here. But let me show you something. So let's say I'm talking to my team, right? And I've got a document I want to bring over. And it's probably not going to be that one. I'm over here looking at my synchronized OneDrive, right? Winning. All right, so I'm going to drag, well, let me pop that open. I'm still having to get used to saying new conversation and then dragging this over. So do you ever play that game where you go upload something somewhere, right? Then you get the link to it and you open up an email and you email everyone that you think needs to know and you say, hey people, the latest blah, blah, blah has been uploaded to blah, 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 right? Here, I drag it in my conversation. I'm gonna just use the @team to let everyone in HR know. Here's the new blah, blah, and send. So I've done that and I see my notification. I have just uploaded into the appropriate location and notified my whole team all at once, 2 birds, 1 stone. If I do that, that will only go into this, we'll call it a root. That's not right. Into this one file's location. I can't tell it to go into a subfolder of files. Does that make sense? If you're thinking about a subfolder, and this is going to take a minute, but if you're thinking about a subfolder, are you going to need to have conversations about that content in that subfolder apart from the bigger area that it's in? So Alabama HR, maybe they work on benefits and they want to put a benefits folder in their files. Is that group ever going to need to talk just about benefits? If they are, then we can just create a channel called Alabama Benefits so they can upload it into that, because every channel is a folder. Try it, try it. If you're like, oh, but that's going to be more permissive and Ohio doesn't need to see it, build out a new team with the appropriate permissions and build out those distinct channels. Try a channel first. Just try it. That's my sales pitch, but it just streamlines that process so much better. It didn't take too long, I don't think. How we doing, team? Can you hear my dog snoring, Stacy?
No, I can't. We're just over on time.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you joining us today.
Please feel free to reach out if you had a question we didn't get to, or if you just didn't want to go through the trouble of typing it in. Find me on Twitter, Instagram. You got my email address here. Hunt me down, find me. If you're not on Twitter, go there. There's so much good information. And thank you for being here, everyone.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye.